Yeah, in a little farming community, kibbutz or moshav. This is Haifa from the mountains looking out on the port. What's that, guys? Masada. King Herod built that. And the ramp on the right is where the Romans breached the encampment to take the last zealots. This is just the Judean hills. We're back to the vineyard again.
No, what's in the field?
Wine, grapes. Yeah. No, it's a smaller. It's the mikveh. It's a little bitty mikveh.
Somebody said you could walk across it.
Maybe. How are we doing time-wise? Let's see. Is that your phone?
Last week,
Or is that Herb's phone?
22 people last week, they said. Fair amount of stuff on the computer.
Just the sermon.
Just the what?
The sermon.
Okay.
Why?
Well, I may move then because lately the flowers or something's been moved. I used to be able to see the screen.
Ah.
And all of a
You can move forward. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. For those of you expecting Rabbi Boxt, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I am Rabbi Dr. Harvey Taub. And I would like to invite you all to come with me on a Shabbat journey. I have been coming to this synagogue for 28 years. And I've always considered this to be my extended Jewish home. And what happens when family gets together? We kvel, right? We brag. How does Rabbi Box do this? This is like, he must have an odd-shaped face. I don't know. So it's time to kvel. Who had something good happen to them that they want to share with their extended Jewish family this week? Rochelle. Great-grandson turning one. How wonderful. Mazel tov. We should all hope to see our great-grandchildren born. Not a very good week, huh? A new guest. Hi.
My name is Mila.
Hi, Mila. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Usually I'm not the maid to Rome, but everybody I've met tells me I need to try the services here, so I thought I'd pick tonight to check it out. Hi. Hi, it's nice to meet you.
You'll have to come back a different day when Rabbi Box is here so you can see what, this is my service, so I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome, and come back again. So, I would like to ask Thomasine to come up, Tommy, and light our candles. We'll begin on page 2. Actually, we'll begin on page 3. Tommy will read one of the two and light the candles. Oh, wait, hold on. Is it on? Try it now.
Thank you. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, in our own lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
You got it.
Thank you.
Wait. It's a miracle.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu
melech haolam, asher
asher
kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu
lahadlik ner shel
Shabbat.
Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvah, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Thank you. You can be seated. So, Shabbat is a special time, right? In Judaism, we have holy time. Places aren't really that holy, but Shabbat is a holy island within our week. And I'd like everybody to try to purge the week that's gone and do a little meditation with me. If you guys can close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And again, in through your nose and out through your mouth. And with each breath, feel the weight of the week leave you. Feel the, hey, you can, come on in. Feel the stress of the week. Close your eyes, everybody close your eyes. And take a big deep breath and blow it out through your nose. And let's walk down a hallway. And each room on the hallway, left and right, has a sign on it. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Big deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Every day of the week, we're shedding the weight of the week. And we get to the end of the hallway, and there's a room that says Shabbat. And we open the room, and we see the light of Shabbat. And everybody open their eyes and look at our beautiful candles as we begin Shabbat. Can somebody turn the lights back on? Maybe I can do it. You got it, Jay? When the lights come back on, we will enter the realm of Shabbat and begin our service. On page 6. Please read responsively with me in English on the top of page 6. Every sentence, remember, sentences end in periods, exclamation points, or question marks. We enter this sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Its presence guide our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. May we enter this place in peace. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. We continue on page 10. Let's sing together. The first, I hope, of many songs tonight, Hine Ma Tov. The very top. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim gam yach. How good and how pleasant it is that brothers and sisters dwell together. Like I said, my extended Jewish family, my brothers and sisters, to dwell together this Shabbat evening. Let us continue on page 20. The mystics of Tzfat one of the cities up here. I don't think I have a picture of Tzfat there. Maybe I have to add that to the slideshow. Tzfat is where the mystics were in the 1500s and the 1600s. This is the latest addition to our prayer book, written by Shlomo Halevi, and he put his initials in the text. Can anybody find it? At the end? Well, for anybody who can read the Hebrew, the first verse begins with a shin, the second verse begins with a lamed, and the next verse begins with a mem, and then a hey. And shin, lamed, mem, hey spells Shlomo. And if you look on the next page, it starts with a hey, and a lamed, and a vav, and a yud, and that means Halevi. So he started each verse with the initials of his name. How clever is that? Let's do Lecha Dodi, and let's do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. On verse 9, let's welcome Shabbat from the entrance of the synagogue. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hameyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'lit hilah. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Verse 2. Likrat Shabbat Lechu v'nelcha, Ki mikor habracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Verse 5. Hitoriri, hitoriri, kiva orech, huri uri, uri uri, shir daberi, kivod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Please rise. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzahala, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Nikabela. Please be seated. We continue on page 24 with Shalom Aleichem. So there are two different melodies that I like to sing. I'll give you guys the vote on what you want to sing. Either the traditional one, right? Shalom Aleichem, or Debbie Friedman's Shalom Aleichem. Who wants which one? The first one? Second one. Uh-oh, okay. Who wants the traditional one? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, who wants Debbie Friedman's? I think the traditional one wins out, guys. Ooh. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitechem L'Shalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know, a lot of people wanted to hear that, Debbie Friedman. Should we do a verse or two? That went pretty quickly. Let's do just a couple of verses. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mihi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So there we go. We didn't do the whole thing, but everybody got a little something. So far, we have been warming up for the service. We really haven't done any of the traditional evening service. And we'll turn to page 26 for what we call the Reader's Kaddish or the Chatzi Kaddish, and it kind of separates the preliminaries from the service. Page 26. Yitgadah ve'yitgadah shemei Rabbah. Bi'alma divarach irutei ve'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon. Uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala. Uvizman kariv. V'yemaru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach, li'olam u'la'omei omaya, yitbarach, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar v'yitaleh, v'yitalau, shmei d'kudisha barichu, Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata damiram b'yoma v'yemaru, amen. And now we begin our prayer service. On page 28, please rise for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamivorach. Baruch Adonai hamivorach leolam va'ed. Please be seated. We continue on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim. B'chachma poteach sha'arim u'vitvuna mishanei itim u'machalif et hazmanim u'msader et kokavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Continue, wait. Let's do some English. Page 31 at the top, read responsively with me. Again, sentences end with a period, question mark, or exclamation point. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Let's continue on page 32. Let's do the same thing. We'll do Hebrew one sentence, and then we'll do the bottom of page 33 responsibly. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amcha ahavta Torah umitzvot chukim umishpatim otanu limadata. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Please rise on page 34 as we say the sacred watchword of our faith, the Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam. Please be seated. We go on to page 36. The Shema comes right from the Torah, and this paragraph comes right after it, Ve'ahavta. So let's do it in Hebrew, and then please in English, because I think it's important that we all understand what it means. Not everybody understands the Hebrew, right? Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam B'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha v'aderech, uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot beineinecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. Leman tizkeru basitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Emet. So, who has ever read from the Torah scroll? So, those of you who have not, you just read from the Torah in the trope that we do. So, who thinks that if we took all those little dots away, that they could do that from a scroll without the dots? I bet a lot of you could. It's not as hard as you think, and I encourage you to study with Rabbi Box to become a Torah reader. So let's do it in English so we all understand it. Let's read together with me, please. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, and when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus shall you remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God. Continue with me on the page. Adonai Elohechem. Okay, so the Adonai Elohechem Emet, that the reader usually says, because if you translate the Hebrew literally, the last line is, I am Adonai, your God. Well, none of us hope pretending to be Adonai, right? So Adonai Elohechem Emet, it takes the last two words and adds the word Emet, which means truth. Adonai in truth is God, is our God. So kind of, the rabbis had a problem with the last line, so they added that to it. Let's continue on page 39 at the top and read with me responsively, paragraph by paragraph. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Continue on page 40, the Mi Chamocha, the Song of the Sea. In the Torah, this is the part where our ancestors were freed from Egypt after the 10 plagues. We get to the Red Sea, misinterpretation, the Sea of Reeds. And Moses parts the sea and they walk across and they sing the song of joy as they've crossed the sea. Let's sing it together. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Malachutecha ra'u vanecha, bokea yam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze Elianu ve'amru, Ze Elianu ve'amru. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, Ugalo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Now the last line of a blessing like this has, Baruch atah Adonai, and then something. This one is different than all the others. Who's really good with Hebrew who could figure that out? There's something different about that ending than all the rest. Look through and let me know if you figure it out at the end. I'll talk to whomever wants to in the oneg. Let's continue on page 42. Again, we'll do the one line in Hebrew and then the bottom of page 43 responsively. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomrenu l'chayim u'faros salenu sukat shlomecha v'taknenu be'etzah tova milfanecha v'hoshienu lema'an shemecha. Let there be love and understanding among us. Periods. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. We continue on page 44. As you guess, I like the democratic way of figuring this out. We have two songs to sing. Both celebrate Shabbat. One is Vishamru. The children of Israel have kept Shabbat. And the other is Yismachu. Be glad. Who wants to sing Vishamru? And who wants to sing Yismachu? Vishamru. Who wants to sing Vishamru? 1, 2, 3. Yismachu? Ooh, Yismachu. Yismachu v'malechutecha Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Oneg Shabbat. Aha, Mikadeshei, Mikadeshei Shevi Shabbat, Kulam Yisbeu V'yatangu Mituvecha Shabbat, Yismechu V'malechutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat V'korei, Oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Oneg Shabbat. V'ashvi ratzita bo v'kadashto Shabbat, Chemdat yamim, Oto karata Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Oneg Shabbat. Zecher lema'aseh v'reishit. We now come to the main part of our service, the tefillah, the prayer. It's on page 46. We will go in Hebrew until we get to page 52. So please rise and join me in the tefillah on page 46. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufiya ki tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'zocher chastei avot v'imaot, u'mevi geula livnei v'neihem, leman shemo be'ahava. Melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atav lehoshia, Mashiv haruach umorid hagashem. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Sohomech noflim ve'rofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Micha mocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech memit, umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Michaye HaKoko. Ata Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh. Ukdoshim B'chol Yom Yehalalu Chasela. Baruch Ata Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. You may be seated. And let us turn to page 57 and read responsively with me on the bottom, again, sentence by sentence. You are with us in our prayers, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answers to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha yorad navod. We continue on page 60. This is a prayer asking God for Shalom Rav, a great peace, something I think the world needs more of now than probably ever. So let's sing together. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit u'v'chol sha'a bishlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Baruch atah Adonai, hamavarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. To this point in our service, everything has been scripted. Everything is it's kind of interesting, right? We do the same thing that Jews do everywhere in the world at the same time. Well, different time zones, but the same day, the same night. Like I said, we have sacred time. And our holidays are coordinated. Shabbat is coordinated. Now is the time that you can say whatever you would like to Adonai in heaven, in earth, whatever you'd like to pray to yourself, a moment of silent prayer. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. At this point in our service, we offer prayers to those in need of healing. We'll turn to page 253 in the middle of the page. There was a Misha Berach list that was published. We certainly have all those people in our thoughts. Also, all of those Israeli soldiers fighting in the IDF. Our thoughts and our prayers are with them. Anybody who would like to offer a name for special healing, please do so. Michelle? Roll.
Jane Cleary, Patrick, Patricia Miller.
Ken? Couple of others? No. That'll do. Okay? Okay. So the middle of page 253, the Debbie Friedman melody that I think is probably the most recognizable of her songs in general. Mi sheberach avotenu mikor habracha laimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Now, the English isn't a translation of the Hebrew. There actually is no printed translation of the Hebrew here, but I'll tell you what it means. Misha berach avotenu, the one who blessed our fathers. Mikor habracha leimotenu, the source of blessing to our mothers. And then the reverse, the one who blessed our mothers, the source of blessing to our fathers. So it's not a translation, it's an augmentation of the thoughts. Torah has two different parts to it. And I don't mean part one followed by part two. I mean law and stories. And I love those stories. In fact, the stories, the law is called halacha, which means the way, like the way to go. And the stories are called Agadah. And the book we read on Passover is called Ha'agadah, the story. Interestingly, the story doesn't mention Moses once. How can you have a story about the Exodus and not mention Moses? Discussion for a different day. This week's Torah portion ends a long story, the story of Joseph. And let me set the stage for you, because every story needs a setting, right? So there was Abraham, and Abraham had a son named Isaac, and Isaac had two sons, Esau and Jacob. And the father liked Esau because he was a hunter, and the mother liked Jacob, and they had a big fight, and Jacob had to leave his homeland because his brother was out to kill him because he stole his blessing. And he went to the land of his forefathers and married two women and had two more concubines and had 12 children, 12 boys and one girl. And he came back after working for 14 years. And he had these 12 sons and one daughter. And you would think because he had to leave his homeland because his mother was the favorite, he was the favorite of his mother, and his other brother was the favorite of his father, that he would learn not to have favorites. But no. That's not the way the world works. Joseph was his father's favorite. And Jacob made Joseph this coat of many colors and gave it to him. And you can see all the kids in the back. Whoop. What did I do? There we go. Where's my pointer? Oh, I'm supposed to have a pointer. Anyway, you see all the brothers in the back, and Joseph is in the front, and they're all jealous. In fact, they're so jealous of him that they decide they're going to get rid of him. They throw him in a pit and take that coat of many colors and put animal's blood on it, and the brothers sell him into slavery into Egypt, this caravan of Ishmaelites. They sell him to Egypt, and they bring the coat back to the father and said, "We found your son Joseph's coat with all this blood on it." And he says, "A wild animal must have torn him apart." Joseph goes to Egypt. He's sold into slavery to Potiphar on the left. Potiphar recognizes Joseph is brilliant and blessed, and he makes him head of his household. And not only did Potiphar like Joseph, but Potiphar's wife liked Joseph on the right side. In fact, she kept trying to seduce him, and he knew it was the wrong thing to do. And he rebuked her until she finally said, "I'm going to get you." And she took his garment and told the husband, Potiphar, "This Hebrew slave you brought, he's doing these bad things. He tried to attack me, and I ran away with his cloak." Potiphar throws Joseph into prison. Interesting. If an Egyptian official really thought that some Hebrew slave was doing something bad to his wife, what would he have done? Shh. But he doesn't. Why? He knows his wife is lying, but he can't call her out on it. So he sends Joseph to prison instead. And in prison, Joseph also does well. And he mixes it up with some of the other prisoners, and he interprets their dreams. There's a special story about the baker and the wine steward, the cupbearer. And they're both in prison because the baker, like flies were in the bread and flies were in the wine, and they both got thrown into prison. And Joseph interprets their dreams and says that the wine steward will be reinstated and the baker would be headed. And that's what happens. And he says to the wine steward, "Remember me when you go back to Pharaoh." But of course he doesn't. Until Pharaoh has a dream that nobody can interpret. And the cupbearer says, "There's a Hebrew slave that interprets dreams." They bring him out of prison, they clean him up, and he goes before Pharaoh and he interprets the dreams. And you see on the right, the dream is that by the Nile River there are 7 fat and healthy cows and 7 skinny and frail cows. And the 7 frail cows eat the 7 healthy cows. The next day, Pharaoh has another dream similar, 7 healthy stalks of grain and 7 withered stalks of grain. And the 7 withered stalks of grain eat the 7 healthy stalks of grain. And Joseph says, these 2 dreams are one and the same. Egypt will have 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. And you need to store food away for the 7 good years to have food for the 7 bad years. And Pharaoh says, you're going to be in charge of it. So he takes him out of prison and makes him second in command. Well, the famine wasn't only in Egypt, it was the whole region. And Joseph's brothers, who sold him into slavery, were in Canaan, a couple hundred miles away, and they were running out of food. So the father sends them to Egypt to buy food. Well, Joseph is now 10 or 15 years later. Joseph recognizes his brothers, but they don't recognize him. And that's what you see on the left. His brothers come and beg for food. And he asks them questions, Who are you? Where do you come from? Who's your father? Do you have any other brothers? Now he knows that there's another younger brother that's not with them. And he sells them food, and he sends them back, and he says, if you come back again, you have to bring your younger brother. Now, Jacob loves this little boy. He's not such a little boy anymore, but his youngest son, because Joseph, his full brother, was torn apart by a wild beast, so he thinks. Well, the food runs out, and the father, Jacob, says, go back and buy more food. And the brothers say, we can't go back without Benjamin, our youngest brother. He says, if you take Benjamin and he doesn't come back, it'll be the end of my days. And Judah, one of the brothers, says, I'll be responsible for him myself. I'll make sure he comes back, because we can't get food without him. So they go, and Joseph sees him again and has a big feast. Now, during this whole time, he puts up this ruse that he doesn't know them, right? So he speaks the Egyptian language and also Hebrew. They come and speak only Hebrew. There's always a translator to keep up the ruse. They come back, they have a big feast. He sends them back with all their food, and he takes a silver goblet and puts it in the mouth of the bag of his younger brother Benjamin. And he sends them back, and he sends his men out to find the thief who stole the silver goblet. Now, he planted the goblet in his brother's sack, right? So the picture on the right is Joseph's men coming to find, and you see the goblet, he's got it in his hand. And he says, the one who stole the goblet needs to come and be executed. And the brothers are all verschimmeled, how is this going to happen? And the men say, you go back to your land and we just need the boy. And they say, no, we all have to come. So they all come, and they plead for their brother's life. And Judah, the one who pled himself, said, take me as a slave, and we can't go back without this boy. It'll be the end of our father. And at that moment, Joseph realizes his brothers no longer harbor any ill will towards him. And he orders everybody out. This is the part that's in our Torah portion now. The whole lead up was to this. He throws everybody out. All the Egyptians leave, and he's there just with his brothers. And he speaks to them in Hebrew. And he says, I'm Joseph, your brother. And they're dumbfounded. They can't answer him. They don't know what to say. He says, don't be afraid. God sent me ahead of you to save your lives. And they kiss, they hug, and they send everybody back to go get the father, Jacob, and that's what you see on the right. Jacob and his reunion with Joseph. And of course, we know the story from there, right? They all move to Egypt. They become shepherds. They live many hundreds of years, and a Pharaoh comes who doesn't like all the Hebrews and makes them all slaves. But this is kind of the pinnacle of the story of Joseph in this week's Torah portion. So that's the great story. There's always a lesson to be learned in the story, right? The story doesn't end with this meeting. The story continues, and there's the part I'd like to teach you guys a little bit about. And excuse me for reading, but it's right from the Torah. After the reunion, there still is 7 years of famine. And Joseph is selling food to the people. and they run out of money. And they say, "Let us not perish before your eyes, both we and our land. Take us and our land in exchange for bread, and we with our land will be serfs to Pharaoh. Provide the seed that we may live and not die, and that the land may not become a waste." So Joseph gained possession of all the farmland for Pharaoh. All the Egyptians having sold their fields because the famine was too much for them, thus the land passed over to Pharaoh. And he removed the population town by town from one end to the other. In other words, he didn't let them stay where they were, because they would have at some point said, "This is my land. My grandfather was on this land, and his grandfather." He moved them around. Then Joseph said to the people, "Whereas I have this day acquired you and your land for Pharaoh, here is seed for you to sow the land. And when harvest comes, you shall give 1/5 to Pharaoh, and 4/5 shall be yours as seed for the fields and as food for you and those in your household." Sharecropping. This is sharecropping. Pretty fair sharecropping. In biblical times, 20% went to the landowner and 80% went to the sharecropper. We know from our American history in the Civil War, post-Civil War, that 75 to 90% of the crop went to the landowners and only 10 to 25% to the sharecroppers. Why was that done? What's the lesson to learn? Anybody have any thoughts? Can't build up any wealth. Okay? So Joseph wanted to give the Egyptians wealth? I don't know. He took all the wealth away, didn't he? If he wanted to give them wealth, he wouldn't have taken all their land. Anybody else have any thoughts? Not sure there's a right or wrong answer. It's just a point of discussion. To take care of themselves. Right. See, my thought is that in the American system, it was set up to keep the people pretty much enslaved to the landowners. But Joseph said, "I want to give you all the tools you need to be successful. And Pharaoh will take his share. And if you're successful, Pharaoh will be successful as well." I read this and I see we should always look for the win-win situation and not the one where one person takes advantage of the other. So that's my lesson of the day. I hope you enjoyed the sermon. Did you want to do announcements? Yeah. Do you want to do announcements now? Sure. I'll take a break and let Kay do announcements. You can use that.
Different order. Good Shabbos, everyone. Just a few short announcements. First, I want to thank Rabbi Harvey Taub, for filling in for Rabbi Box. We have one more week left on the food drive. We really need to try to fill up the boxes, so one more week, please. We're still looking for interfaith volunteers. We have January covered, but we still need some, and we're still selling Mahjong cards. I need to find out how long we're going to do that. Tonight's Onik is sponsored by Ted and Tommy Williams in honor of their birthdays. Happy birthday to you both. I will know one is soon and one is in a couple weeks, but happy birthday. Flowers tonight are sponsored by Nancy Miner in honor of Cordelia's birthday. And we wish him a happy birthday. And again, Shabbat Shalom.
Our service continues on page 282. No children to open the ark on Aleinu, so Kay, you and I get to open the ark. Please rise. Page 282 on the bottom. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol latet gedula liotzer bereshit shelo asanu kigoye haratzot v'lo samanu kemishbechot hadama shelo sam chelkenu kahem v'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Ba. Continue with me on page 284 at the top. Shehu Noteh Shamayim V'Yosed Haaretz U'Moshav Yikarov B'Shamayim Imal U'Shchinatu Zo Begav Hei Meheromim Hu Eloheinu Einod Emet Malkeinu Efezulato Kakatuv Betorato V'yadata hayom V'hashevot Lilvavecha Ki Adonai Hu HaElohim B'shamayim Imal Ve'al haaretz mitachat Eino. Page 287. V'nemar Ve'haya Adonai Lemelech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad U'shemo echad. Please remain standing for the Mourner's Kaddish if you would like to. I'll read on 293 at the bottom. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. On this Shabbat, we remember Martin Greer, friend of the congregation, Lillian Schwartz, mother of Amy and Susan Schwartz, mother-in-law and grandmother. Sadie Milberg, grandmother of Marty McLean. Samuel Siegler, father of Jules Siegler. Kay Levinson, mother of Bob Levinson. Sonia Katz, grandmother of Amy and Susan Schwartz. Wait, no. Your grandmother and great-grandmother. Samuel Olstein, grandfather of Arnold Olstein. Donald O'Mell, father of Wayne O'Mell. Jacob Gantman, father of Susan Bernstein. Jack Friedland, a friend of the congregation. Kurt Levy, father of Amy Schwartz. Sarah Mark, friend of the congregation. Tony Gantman, mother of Susan Bernstein. And Philip Kupchak, father of Diane Gilmore. Are there any other names we should mention on this Shabbat? Page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah bi'alma divarach irutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'gala u'vizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'la'almei omaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemei dukudisha barichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata. Da'miran b'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. O seh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael yimru amen. Please be seated. And next we have the concluding hymn because it is at the conclusion. Page 321, Adon Olam. There are about 100 different melodies for Adon Olam. Let's do a happy one. Adon Olam. Asher malach, b'terem kol, Yitzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, Bechef Sokol. Together, Azai Melech Shimon Nikra Adon Olam, V'acharei Kichlot HaKol, Livado Yimloch Nora Adon Olam, V'hu Haya, V'hu Hoveh, V'hu Yiyeh B'tifara Adon. Let's hear it. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, B'chef Sokol, Azai Melech Shimon Nikra Adon Olam, V'hu Echad, V'yein Sheni, Laham Shilo Lahach Bira Adon Olam, Bili Reshit, Bili Tachlit, V'lo Ha'oz V'ha'misra Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, B'chef Sokol, Azai Melech Shimon Nikra Adon Olam, V'hu Eli, V'chai Goali, V'tzor Chevli Be'et Zara Adon Olam, V'hu Nisi, Umanos Li, Minat Kosi B'yom Ekra Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, B'chef Sokol, Azai Melech Shimon Nikra Adon Olam, B'yahado Avkid Ruchi, B'yet Ishan Ve'a'ira Adon Olam, V'im Ruchi Giviyati, Adonai li v'lo ira Adon. Last time, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, B'chef Sokol, Azai Melech Shimon Nikra Adon Olam. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Please, everybody, join Ted Williams inside for kiddush, cake, coffee, fun, schmooze. And if anybody can figure out the difference between that one at the end of Micha Mocha, I'll be happy to talk about it.
It was a good service as always. It's nice.
The story, didn't repeat the same thing?
Not at all. Not at all. A lot of times, it's people have probably heard